Your dog is waiting to feel like they belong to you right now. They aren't waiting for a treat, just waiting for you. There's a massive, silent conversation happening in your living room every single day. And honestly, most of us are completely failing to translate it. We think we're doing everything right by buying premium, grain-free food. We schedule expensive vet visits, but we totally miss the micro moments. Let's talk about physical contact. How do you actually pet your dog? Be brutally honest with yourself about this right now. It's usually a passing pat while you're doom scrolling, isn't it? One hand absent-mindedly rests on their head while your brain is miles away. Look, I'm guilty of this too, because we all are. You've got 100 unread emails, and you're trying to decompress after work. You're physically touching them, but you aren't really there. Your dog absolutely knows the exact difference between a mindless reflex and deliberate choice. Recently, scientists in Quebec brought 52 dog owners into a lab. They wanted to watch them pet their dogs in a controlled setting. They tested normal, highly distracted interactions against mindful, hyper-focused contact. Slow, steady, zero distractions, with complete presence in the exact same second. The results were wild because both sides spiked in overall well-being. The owners naturally chilled out, and their breathing literally slowed down. The dogs got incredibly affectionate, but here is the crazy part. The dogs receiving intentional touch started asking for more connection hours later. It wasn't just a fleeting dopamine hit for them. It fundamentally rewired the entire energy of their day because they felt completely seen. Now, think about how you use their name. It's basically an alarm bell or just background noise tossed out while loading the dishwasher. Buddy, stop, or Bella, come here. But they are always listening, and researchers at Lincoln and Sussex universities decided to look into this. They proved something incredible, showing dogs can pinpoint their name. They find it buried deep inside a completely boring, flat, emotionless stream of words. They absolutely don't need that high-pitched, goofy baby voice to hear you. They're constantly scanning your vocabulary for their specific signal. But what happens when that name drops wrapped in actual warmth? When you soften your tone, stop moving, and actually look at them? Everything shifts. The scientists notice their ears snap forward immediately. Their whole body physically leans into the speaker, absorbing the sound completely. Their name isn't just a noun to them, it's a green light. It tells them if they matter right now or are in the way. You can yell it 100 times without it meaning anything. Or you can lock eyes, say it slowly, and watch it hit them. Try it tomorrow morning before the coffee is made. Watch their ears and notice how they approach you afterward. Soft and grounded. Stay with me here, because this next one happens every day. The walk used to mean they'd yank your shoulder for every smell. Every leaf was a mystery, and every fire hydrant was a newspaper. Now, they just plod along beside you without much excitement. You probably think they mellowed out or got used to the route. Wrong. They just stopped expecting the walk to actually include them. Imagine if someone else dictated every microscopic second of your life. When you wake up, what you eat, and exactly where you step. Months of that, and your spirit just flattens out completely. A massive review of animal behavior confirmed this dark reality about learned helplessness. When animals realize they have absolutely zero ability to influence their world, they quit trying. They learn their choices are basically just ghosts. But give them a tiny sliver of control, and stress hormones plummet. Confidence explodes because control is a biological, core, psychological need. So test it out and break the routine on your next walk. Stop moving at a corner, wait, and let them pick the route. Watch their face when it clicks that you're asking their opinion. That micro moment of agency fundamentally changes the entire energy of the walk. Then you get home. This is the exact moment where trust is cemented or totally shattered in 10 seconds flat when you walk in. They are vibrating with their tail going crazy, pointing right at you. What do we usually do besides dropping keys and checking text messages? We yell hello to the kids and essentially ghost our dogs. We treat their absolute joy as an obstacle to getting to the couch. Animal behaviorists dug deep into this exact interaction regarding reunions. They found the longer a dog waits, the more explosive the greeting becomes. They aren't just happy to see you walk through the door. They're desperately confirming that the bond actually survived your absence today. I tested this myself by dropping my bags and taking a knee. I just existed with my dog for a second with calm acknowledgement. The nervous pacing stopped immediately, and the frantic jumping disappeared completely. The entire night felt grounded because that tiny pause gave them permission. You came back, and they were your absolute priority right then. That's all they needed to know, to exhale and relax their bodies. If a calm greeting fixes their night, imagine the psychological damage otherwise. We leave them hanging in a state of high anxiety. Look, we all mess up and trip over them in dark hallways. You snap at them because your boss was a complete nightmare today. You shove them off the bed too hard when you're exhausted. It happens because we are human, and we usually brush it off quickly. We assume they have the emotional memory of a goldfish. We assume they don't hold grudges, so we just move on with life. They don't hold grudges, but they process things differently than we do. Dogs actively hunt for reconciliation after a clash to kill the uncertainty. They desperately need a signal that the relationship isn't permanently broken. Conflict floods a dog's body with pure stress, as cortisol spikes rapidly. The only antidote is knowing you still love them despite the mistake. So when you accidentally hurt them, the fix is ridiculously simple. Get on the floor, soften your posture, and just shut up. Let them approach you, because elaborate apologies mean absolutely nothing in English. But your stillness and lowered gravity represent absolute fluency in their language. That is the true repair they need to feel safe again. Skip those repairs for a few months, and they get incredibly careful. The trust thins out until they hesitate taking treats from your hand. Picture this happening in your house. Your dog sneaks off and wedges themselves under the dining table to exist in the shadows. Your brain screams to go fix it, so you hunt them down. You crouch down and ask what's wrong from a place of love. But here is a brutal truth about how we treat our dogs. We often smother them because we love them and want them close. All they hear when you pull them out is endless restriction. They feel you're telling them they're never allowed to exist by themselves. Researchers prove this using therapy dogs in two completely distinct scenarios. One group had humans grabbing and petting them constantly with zero escape. The other group had total veto power to simply walk away anytime. When the dogs held the remote control, stress signals vanished entirely. Lip licking and yawning stopped, and they engaged way more willingly. Knowing they were allowed to say no transformed their entire reality. A dog that knows they won't be chased never has to hide. Loving them means respecting the quiet and letting them walk away. Just let them be, and they will wander back 20 minutes later. You made coming back their choice by giving them space to miss you. You need to hear this next part, even if it hurts slightly. You fell hard for the puppy that matched the hustle of your life. That dog chased a tennis ball until the sun went down. But time is undefeated, and eventually the joints rust and hearing fades. The eyes get cloudy, and they stop rushing the front door. They just lift their head heavily from the rug when you arrive. We feel immediate grief and see a lesser version of our friend. We start mourning them while they are still sitting right before us. Stop doing that right now. A massive deep dive into aging psychology destroys this myth, showing that the bond doesn't rot with age. It solidifies and deepens because senior dogs become hyper-attuned to your emotions. They map your micro-expressions and rely on your rock-solid consistency. They aren't fading away, they are just settling into a quiet love. They don't need to sprint across a yard to prove it exists. That gray-muzzled dog isn't less. They are the absolute finished masterpiece. They just need softer beds and shorter loops around the local park. Meet the dog standing right in front of you and slow down. They spent their youth keeping up, so slow down for them now. Which brings us to the absolute core of it all. Someday, a season will start that unfortunately doesn't end well for your dog. The sleeping takes over completely, and the food loses its daily magic. The spark just quietly goes out before the vet says anything aloud. When that day drops, you have exactly one job to do. You stay right there, not pacing out in the distant waiting room. You get on the damn floor with your hand on their chest. Keep your breathing steady and your voice low, right in their ear. You don't try to fix it or flinch away from the pain. You just anchor them, because dogs absolutely do not process mortality. They don't have a concept of tomorrow or their last breath. They only know one single thing, which is whether you are here. If they could speak plain English, they'd ask for one simple favor. Don't go, because you were the very first thing that felt safe. You made the overwhelming universe small enough for them to handle. You were their entire sky, so do it just one last time. Real love isn't found in highlight reels or perfect beach photos. It's in the silent repairs and the willingness to sit in the quiet. It's about translating a language that doesn't use any words. Let's learn to listen to the silent conversation happening inside your house.